What's up guys, Odie here from Feal Suspension, and today we got a really cool video in store for you. We're gonna go over the Feal Suspension Pro Long Stroke Drift Kit. We're gonna go through settings just as simple as ride height, setting spring preload, setting the damping adjustment, and then we're gonna head to Apple Valley Speedway where we will adjust the coilovers for different track conditions. For example, I put really sticky tires on the back of this underpowered E46. We're gonna have to deal with that. We're gonna have to make sure the car is drivable, yet on pace, because I invited a buddy of mine to tandem with, so we're gonna have to make sure that the car's gripped up just enough to keep up with him. So the first thing we gotta do is set the ballpark ride height on my E46. The way we do that is by knocking the ride height collar loose, and you could simply adjust the lower mount up or down on the shock body. Adjusting it up lowers the car, adjusting it down lifts the car. So set the ballpark ride height, and then you gotta jump into the spring preload. The Pro Long Stroke kits have a ton of suspension travel, which means you could capitalize on a lot of suspension droop, which means no excessive three-wheeling, more consistent through transitions because you're not lifting the front wheel unexpectedly, and just overall a more confident, inspiring ride. And the way you adjust spring preload is by adjusting the spring preload collars right beneath the spring. We got a helper spring on most Pro Long Stroke kits to allow you to really fine-tune the spring preload. Let's go ahead and adjust the droop, aka spring preload, on my E46 right behind me. So on my E46, I have a slightly different version of the Pro Long Stroke kit than what I just showed you on the tabletop. This is the two-way Pro Long Stroke kit. What's different about this is it comes with an external reservoir that allows you to adjust the compression force separate of the rebound force. So we went ahead and set the ballpark ride height. I'm not gonna bore you and show you how to do that, but we will go through how to set the proper amount of droop in this thing. So we're gonna put the wheels back on it. We're gonna take a measurement of droop in the air, and then we're gonna put the car back on the ground. We're gonna take another measurement with it at ride height, and then we'll find out how much droop we're working with. So now we got the wheel back on the car. We're gonna measure the amount of droop this thing has in the air. What I like to do is take a reference point somewhere on the fender. That way I'm not taking different reference points every single time I take this measurement. So let's go ahead and go from that reference point to the middle of the wheel. We're at 14.5 inches, and now we're gonna drop the car on the ground, and we're gonna take a measurement from the same reference points and subtract that from this measurement, and that's our droop. So we got the car on the ground, and it's really important is that after you put it on the ground, you either roll the car or you put some sort of slip plate underneath the wheel so that the suspension could actually settle down into its real ride height. I'm using a bag full of grease. We joke around, we call this the Bucksheesh bags because it works really well, but this allowed the suspension to get settled. Let's go ahead and measure the same distance or the same reference points that we had earlier, and we're at about 12 3/4. So we just took some measurements off the car. With the car up in the air, our fender gap was 14.5 inches. With the car on the ground, it was 12.75 inches. When you subtract those two values from one another, you get the suspension droop, which is 1.75 inches. Now, what's the ideal droop that we gotta have? Well, I always shoot for about 30 to 35% of total wheel travel to be the droop. This is a McPherson car, so wheel travel and shock travel are pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio. So for this example, we take the shock stroke, which is 4.5 inches on the Pro Long Stroke kit for the E46, and we take 30 to 35% of that, which is about 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches is our target droop for this car. We have about 1/4 inch more droop than our target. How do we get rid of 1/4 inch of droop? Well, pretty simple. You just preload the spring by 1/4 inch, and that should take 1/4 inch out of total droop. So I went ahead and preloaded the spring, what looks to me visually 1/4 inch, but let's verify. Let's measure once again from the top of the helper spring to the bottom of the main spring, and we're at 8 1/4, which is perfect because we were at 8.5 before. We increased the preload by 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead and just spin the collar snug. I'm not gonna tighten it with spanner wrenches because I want to verify that we actually achieved our goal. And then once everything's good, we could pull the wheels back off and finally tighten all the collars and be ready to go. We added a 1/4 inch of spring preload. Now let's see if that actually reduced the droop by 1/4 inch. Let's take our measurement. We're at 13 inches. Before, we were at 12 inches and 3/4. So bam, exactly that. The one thing to note is the car is sitting a 1/4 inch higher. If you wanted to get the ride height back down, you simply adjust the lower mount. You run the lower mount up on the shock body by a 1/4 inch. Bam, you're back at the same ride height that you were at before. I honestly prefer the 1/4 inch higher ride height. I think that when we initially set the ride height, the front was maybe just a tad too low. Now I think it's perfect, so we're good to go. We're happy with the results of our adjustment, so we're gonna go ahead and snug up the collars. So I do that by hand. Since this is a track car and it sees a lot of abuse, I'm gonna go ahead and take an extra step, and I'm gonna use this soft punch to tighten the collar even more. So that way there's less chances of it coming loose if we have excessive dirt drops. I bump people in the door. It's just a little bit more insurance that this will stay tight. I don't really go through this car very much, and I drive the crap out of it all the time, so I like to make sure everything stays nice and tight. So we set ride height, we set suspension droop by adjusting spring preload. Now we're gonna set the compression and rebound damping. On my Pro Long Stroke kit, it's two-way. That means compression and rebound are adjusted separate from one another. If you have a one-way Pro Long Stroke kit, all of your damping adjustment would be in one knob. It would be the knob at the top. On my kit, the top knob is now solely the rebound adjustment. I'm gonna drive this thing to the track, on the highway, down a dirt road. I want this thing to be comfortable. I'm gonna have the AC on, kicking back. So I'm gonna adjust things on the softer side of the scale. So we're gonna go ahead and adjust the rebound. Go all the way clockwise until it stops turning. The circuit for rebound is completely closed. Now I'm gonna count 20 clicks out. There's a total of 30 clicks. I'm gonna be out 20. 20 clicks out from fully closed. There's a total of 30 clicks of adjustability. I'm definitely on the softer side of the spectrum. All right, we set the rebound, now let's set the compression. Since this is a two-way adjustable shock, the compression is controlled by the knob that's on the reservoir. Let's go ahead and go clockwise until it stops turning. That means the circuit is fully closed. There's 16 clicks of adjustability here. I want this thing to be really, really soft, so I'm gonna go 12 clicks out. There, we're all set. We're gonna do the same on the other side and also adjust the rear. So we're gonna adjust the rear compression as well. I splurged, I actually put 3 ways on the back of this thing. Why not, right? There's high speed and low speed adjustability here, but we're just gonna knock both of those out quite a bit, just like we did in the front. All right, we got our suspension set. We got some tires mounted on some wheels. They're loaded, helmet's loaded. Let's go to the track. This thing actually drives really freaking good down the dirt road. I mean, this road's not getting any better with time, and yeah, this thing's just soaking it up. The softer settings are definitely the go-to setting to driving this thing to the track, through the rough road. We'll see what it does the way it is on the track though. I'm kind of curious just to run it this soft and start there. And then we could adjust the suspension, get it dialed, and then we know we could come back to exactly this setting to drive home, because I mean, this is beautiful. It was beautiful through the freeway driving down the streets, and it tolerates the dirt just fine. So we made it to the track, and the suspension felt super comfortable on the way out here. Once again, the settings are more on the softer end for sure. Rebound and compression, it's backed out quite a ways, but hey, let's give it a rip on the track exactly the way it is, and let's start there. Right off the bat, this thing is it's a little on the softer side like expected, but it feels pretty dang planted still. Let's hit a few bumps here on the warm up. Oh yeah, This thing is super nice and soft, but let's see what it does when I push it a little bit. All right, it's not that bad. Yeah. Whoa. It's not terrible. It feels planted, but the car does feel unnecessarily heavy. And I think that being a little on the soft side, it accentuates how heavy the car really is. It doesn't mask the fact that we're drifting a very heavy car with full interior, AC, everything. And the transitions, I know they could be snappier. All right, so the car feels great, but it does feel a little bit on the heavy side because it moves around a little bit. It could transition a little bit faster, so let's go ahead and kind of globally firm everything up. We're gonna tighten up rebound a little bit so there's less, takes less time to weight transfer, and then we're also gonna stiffen it up on the compression side so we're not letting it weight transfer as much as well on that end. So I have three-way adjustable shocks in the rear, so on the compression side, we're gonna adjust high speed and low speed simultaneously to stiffen it up. If you had two-way adjustable shocks, you would just have one knob and it would do high speed and low speed as well. Here we have to do them both independent of one another, but we'll achieve the same result. We were 20 clicks out from fully closed. Let's go only 15 clicks out. Cool, and we're gonna do that in the rear as well. And then we're gonna jump under the car and we're gonna firm it up on the compression side as well. We had this very soft. We had it 12 clicks out from fully closed. Let's go ahead and go only 4 clicks out here. We went stiffer on compression and I could feel this just driving through the pits. It's not as comfortable, but when we're pushing hard, I think it's gonna be exactly what we need. The car's gonna stay flatter. There's gonna be more lateral weight transfer between inside and outside wheel. So it's gonna probably take a little bit of the grip out of the car as well. But this thing's so underpowered, the GT radials are so grippy that I think I could deal with that. Let's give it a rip. So right off the bat, this thing is definitely a little easier to drive. I mean, it's got less side bite. Off throttle, the car floats. It's a little less knife edge. When I pick up throttle, it doesn't bog as much. It actually keeps the rear wheel spinning and it transitions faster. It's way snappier. The car feels lighter. I mean, I dig it. Good. So much easier to drive. I mean, this thing just floats off throttle now. Off throttle and it just floats out to the outside of the turn. Perfect. Heck yeah. Whoa! Way outside line. Oh, she floats. This is great. A lot easier to drive. I mean, yeah, this is, for a low power car like this, this feels good. No handbrake really needed. Way snappier transitions. And we're gonna snap it real hard right here at this next transition. Woo! This is freaking great. Yeah. I like this a little bit more. It's not as comfortable if I was to, go for a cruise, but I think this car, how heavy it is, it does not have big sway bars on. It has actually this car has no front sway bar, stock rear sway bar. The firmer shock setting, I think, feels a lot better. And it just feels like it looks better too, honestly. The car is way flatter. All right, so we firmed this thing up, slowed down the rebound, went stiffer on the compression. it's not as comfortable just even driving through the pits. But on track, it transitions way snappier. The car feels lighter. There's less weight transfer. It's easier to drive. It floats. It's a little bit slower, but we're about to find out if it's fast enough. So I got my buddy Eric out. This guy knows every square inch of this freaking track. And if my car is not absolutely dialed, it can't keep up with you. So.
All right, we're gonna see. It's on a qualifying setup, you said, so it should be pretty fun.
It's floaty, it's fun to drive. Let's see if it can hang with you. And if it can't, we're gonna make adjustments and make it easier, you know, for me to hang with you. So let's give it a rip. Let's go give it a try.
Let's do it.
I'm fairly optimistic because the GT radials that we have on there are actually really grippy. They're probably too much grip for this power level. They're the SX2s, they're like 260 tread wear. But man, this thing is pretty stiff. Like, it moves around a lot just driving through the pit. So it might float around a little too much. Let's see how Eric does chase it. Ooh, shifter fell off. Oh, he's on us. Oh man. Oh man. Whoa. All right. My shift knob fell off. Now it's back on and fixed. So yeah, I mean, he was on us. We'll see how we can do. I'm confident. I think we're just gonna have to huck it in really hard. Eric's been competing in grassroots stuff a lot. He's figured out how to push. He's E46s really well. He's on Feal 4x1s. It's always a pleasure driving with him. He keeps me on my toes because he's just on it. Yeah, let's go try to chase Eric down and see how we can do with this looser setup. Alright, we need a little more forward drive here. It was not bad like I expected. It was fine. There's moments on the track though that he was just pulling away a little bit. Yeah, I could cut the line a little bit and potentially get right on him, but I don't want to do that. I think we could set this thing up so it's got a little bit more forward drive and still be able to get on his door. Oh man, I smoked the tire so hard I had a piece of it come apart a little bit. Smoked, no wonder. So fun, dude. Oh yeah. I'm trying to make the rear suspension more compliant. I feel like it's deflecting, it's loading the tire a little too much past the tire's efficiency range, and it's kind of porpoising a little bit, maybe over the smaller bumps. Just a little softer on the rear compression to get a little bit more forward drive out of this thing. So let's give it a rip. Yep, still good float off throttle, but it's already bogging a little bit. Just trying to get this thing to, oh yeah, wanted to straighten up a little bit when I got on throttle, a little bit more compliant and grippier. Had to clutch kick another time here, but it's good. Yeah, this thing's floating good, but it's got a little bit more forward. Eric's a little further behind, so that's a plus. Through the transition, going super wide. Yeah, all right. It's not overloading the outside tire, it's kind of letting the inside tire do some work as well. So initially when you first initiate, because the rebound is still slower in the rear, it does pick up the inside tire maybe a little bit, which gives you that initial bit of float. But then when it settles into the turn and you start stabbing it or clutch kicking it, I think it is on the compression side, on the compression stroke, it's allowing the inside and outside tire to have more of an equal load and actually drive the car forward. Man, yeah, this thing is awesome. Eric's on it, but I think we had just that little bit more forward to allow us to really drive it hard and put it in his score, literally on the last turn. Woo, this thing is smoked. We're gonna throw some fresh GT radials on that thing and go have some more fun. So we got fresh GT tires on it and the car's working good, but I feel like I want a little bit more instant when I get on throttle. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go softer or back out the front rebound a little bit to get the front of the car to lift a little bit and transfer weight over the rear a little bit more aggressively. So we're gonna keep the compression stiff, but we're gonna speed up the rebound just to get it to shift weight a little bit faster. We're gonna go ahead and go full clockwise. And then we're gonna go back to the 20 setting that I drove out here on, which is quite light. It lets it rebound quite fast. But remember, we're keeping the compression firmer than what we ended up driving out here with. So this combo is definitely gonna lift the front a little bit higher. It just gets me that little bit quicker hit to the rear tire. Yeah, this thing's got a lot of sauce and we kind of have nowhere to go when we're behind Eric, but it's so much fun. Definitely bumped him around a little bit, put our wheels in his door. I honestly think this is the setting that is good for tandem. It's a little, maybe a bit too spicy. I'm probably gonna tone it down, but that's the fun part. You get to a spot where you're like, this is good, and then you're like, all right, let's tone it back down, and then you find that happy spot. So yeah, what a freaking awesome day. All right, so we went over how to set up Pro long stroke coilovers. I think similar principles could be applied to any Feal suspension coilovers. And we went over how to tune them for different track conditions, right? We had grippy tires. We wanted the car to be nice and easy to drive, and then yet we wanted to pick up a little bit of speed when we're running tandem, and then we wanted to pick up just a tiny bit more speed, and then we realized we needed to pack it back down. So hopefully you enjoyed the experience, hopefully you learned something, and comment below on what you would like to learn on my next video. I love making these, and I look forward to making more, so comment below what you want to learn, and thanks for watching.